Here's a question on drawing a trig graph. We're asked to sketch y equals 3 cos 2x over the domain negative 2 pi to 2 pi. Whenever you're asked to sketch a trig graph, you will be given the domain because you need to know where to start and where to stop. And it also tells you whether you're working in degrees or radians. So we're using radians in this question. Now, the graphs you'll be asked to draw will have one or two changes in them. So I suggest you do it gradually and do one or two rough copies first so that you're building up towards the final graph. So if we start with y equals cos x, just a rough copy, pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, and on the negative side, cos x looks like it goes from 1 down to negative 1 and it starts on the axis. So there, down to negative 1 for pi, on the axis for 3 pi on 2 and up at 1 for 2 pi. Now this is just cos x. And same on the other side. Just a quick rough version. Now I don't mind which of these two changes you do next, it doesn't matter. I'll increase the amplitude to 3. So everything else is the same, but the amplitude changes. So we'll be down here and up to 3. Okay, same on the negative side. Going through there, passing through there, and up at 3 again. And putting those points in really helps you join them together and get the graph in the right place. Then finally, we want to change the period. So the graph will be twice as squashed in as what it currently is. So instead of having one whole cycle occurring at 2 pi, I need 2 whole cycles in that space. So I'll be up there, I'll be up again by pi, 1 whole cycle by pi. So I'll be halfway down at pi over 2 and cutting the axis halfway. There we go. And down at 3 pi on 2, up at 2 pi, halfway in between. So I've still got points to guide me. Now I'll complete a whole cycle by negative pi. Put the points in first and then draw it. And lastly, down there, up there, halfway. So the red graph is the final graph, but it's a bit messy, so I'll flip over the page and draw it neatly and show you the kind of neatness or quality that we'll be looking for. I've drawn the axis up, so zoom in if you can't read that clearly enough. And now I'll draw the graph. Just copying what I had before, and you'll have your rough copy in front of you. So it's up on the axis at 3, it was up again at pi, and it was up again at 2 pi. Same on this side, up again at pi, negative pi, and at the top again at negative 2 pi. Down the bottom is at pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2, and negative pi over 2, and negative 3 pi over 2. But I hope they're straight. It's a bit hard to tell, but they'll do. They're neat enough. Now in between, it cut the axis every mark halfway. And then I join as best I can. I would probably label it y equals 3 cos of 2x. There's your graph. Everything's ruled, labelled, fairly neat. Not perfect, you know, it's a bit wobbly here, but that doesn't matter because I can see the key points, I can see the intercepts where it's crossing, I can see the features of the graph. It's not a work of art, it's a maths graph.